The incident in the Black Sea in mid-January became one of the most illustrative episodes in the modern system of international security. It clearly demonstrated how a localized maritime confrontation can influence the strategic balance between nuclear powers and evolve into a factor of global instability. The event involving the British Type 45 destroyer HMS Defender attracted the attention not only of politicians, but also of military strategists, specialists in maritime law, and experts on hypersonic weapons. For the first time in a long period, Russia employed a hard power scenario against a vessel belonging to a NATO member state, going beyond demonstrative or symbolic measures. The long-term background of Russian-British confrontation analysts emphasize that Russia's actions should not be viewed as a spontaneous reaction. Since the mid-2000s, relations between Moscow and London have been marked by a steady downward trend, accompanied by mutual accusations, sanctions, and diplomatic conflicts. Within the expert community, several key directions of British policy are identified as having been perceived in Moscow as systematically hostile: political and informational pressure through international institutions, active participation by the United Kingdom in shaping an anti-Russian media agenda, support for sanctions regimes and the initiation of new restrictive measures, involvement in hybrid operations including intelligence activities, military support for Ukraine that goes beyond symbolic assistance. Taken together, these factors formed a perception within the Russian leadership of deliberate long-term pressure that for years had not received a direct forceful response. The Black Sea region as a high-risk zone. In recent years, the Black Sea has become one of the key areas where the interests of Russia and NATO intersect. The regular presence of alliance warships, reconnaissance flights, and military exercises has created a dense environment of potential incidents. According to military analysts, the actions of HMS Defender fit a typical scenario of maritime pressure: demonstration of freedom of navigation, collection of electronic intelligence data, testing the response speed of coastal and naval forces, psychological pressure through proximity to sensitive areas. Russia, in turn, views such actions as direct interference in the zone of military operations and as a threat to the security of its forces. Legal aspects and interpretation of territorial waters. One of the central elements of the analytical assessment remains the legal status of the area where the British ship was detected. The Russian side proceeds from the position that the relevant section of the coastline falls under its jurisdiction, and therefore territorial waters extend 12 nautical miles from the shore. From Moscow's perspective, the presence of HMS Defender in this area was qualified as a violation of the state border. This fundamentally alters the legal assessment of the incident and directly affects the international reaction, including discussions of NATO's collective defense mechanisms. According to experts, this factor became a key argument behind the restrained position taken by the majority of alliance members. The military-technical dimension of the incident special attention is given to the choice of means employed. The frigate Admiral Gorshkov represents a new generation platform designed not only for combat missions, but also for demonstrating the technological level of the Russian Navy. The use of hypersonic Zircon missiles is interpreted by analysts as a signal in several directions simultaneously: demonstration of readiness to employ the latest types of weapons, testing their effectiveness in real operational conditions, conveying a strategic message to potential adversaries. It is important to note that the very fact of employing hypersonic weapons carries greater significance than the tactical outcome of a single episode. Why hypersonic weapons change the rules of the game? Experts stress that the emergence of hypersonic anti-ship missiles radically changes the concept of naval warfare. Western naval air defense systems were designed in an era when the primary threats were subsonic and supersonic missiles. Hypersonic speed dramatically reduces detection and decision-making time, decreases the effectiveness of existing interception algorithms, requires fundamentally new early warning systems. As a result, surface combatants that were previously considered relatively well protected become vulnerable near conflict zones. London's reaction and the domestic political factor. The United Kingdom perceived the incident as a serious challenge to its status as a maritime power. Emergency high-level meetings revealed that London has a very limited set of response options. Military scenarios were considered but quickly recognized as excessively risky. A direct confrontation with Russia would have meant escalation with unpredictable consequences, including the involvement of the nuclear factor. As a result, the emphasis shifted to diplomatic pressure, an information campaign, attempts to mobilize allies within NATO. However, the lack of consensus within the alliance significantly weakened London's position. NATO's position and the deterrence factor. NATO's response became a revealing example of the alliance's internal constraints. Despite harsh rhetoric from some states, the majority of members adopted a cautious stance. The main reasons included legal uncertainty regarding the status of the area, unwillingness to be drawn into a direct conflict with Russia, awareness of the risks of large-scale escalation. In effect, the incident demonstrated that collective defense mechanisms have limits, especially in legally contested situations. Strategic conclusions and consequences. Military analysts largely agree that this episode will become a case study for all leading naval powers. It highlights several key trends: the growing role of high-precision and hypersonic weapons, the declining resilience of traditional naval groupings, the increasing importance of political will in military decision-making. For Russia, this served as a demonstration of readiness to move from warnings to action when certain red lines are crossed. For the West, it was a signal that the previous model of pressure without serious consequences is no longer guaranteed. Overall assessment. The incident involving HMS Defender goes far beyond a single ship or a single region. It reflects the transformation of the entire international security system, where technological superiority, decision-making speed, and readiness for hard measures become key elements of deterrence. Experts emphasize that the world is entering a phase in which misinterpretations, demonstrative maneuvers, and political gestures near conflict zones can carry strategic consequences.